Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to part 2 of our Build a Product Page with React and TypeScript tutorial video series. And so in today's video, we are going to be working on our product details component, and we are going to be filling out a little bit more detail for our gallery component that we built in part 1. If you haven't seen part 1, I recommend you go ahead and do that now. Otherwise, keep watching and you'll be learning a lot in this one. And as well, before we get into it, be sure to subscribe for more videos of this series, and I'll be doing lots of other React and TypeScript tutorial videos just like this. So yeah, be sure to do that, and let's get started. So we are going to be building out this product details component, and the first thing that you will see is we are just rendering a string here, and what we want to do is we want to render a product title, we want to render a price, and we want to render some sort of a description for the product, and lastly we want to render maybe a couple of buttons. And so we're going to get started doing that. The first thing that we are going to do is go to our product detail CSS module, and we are going to begin applying some styles that we'll use for designing this component. So the first thing we're going to do is give it a display of flex, and we are also going to give it a margin top of 24 pixels, so that it just has a little bit of margin compared to the gallery here. So yes, we are going to give it a flex direction column, and we will give it a gap of 32 pixels, and we will just get started now with our product information. And what we're going to do, so instead of passing the product details or just having them on this component directly, so product title and then maybe product price. So instead of doing it in this sort of way, we're actually going to be using props, and we are also going to create an interface now, a TypeScript interface for our product details props. So as you can see, we have our product details props interface, and so this is where we're going to define the properties that we will be using for this component. And so we will want to have a title, which will be a string, a price, which will be a number, and let's do a ID, which will be a string as well. And so we will accept these properties inside of our component, and we will now render title and price, and we'll do something with this ID a little bit later. And so now you can see we have an error, and that is because we need to actually use these properties now where we are rendering our product details component. And you can see this is the benefit of using TypeScript. So using TypeScript, it allows you to figure out what properties a component needs as you're building in React. And so it's really nice to just have access to that and to know that you're missing a property here. So we will do that now. We will do an ID equals to, let's do just some random string. We will do a title equal to product title, and price equal to, and we'll do 25. And let's, so we will clean up our code a little bit by breaking these properties out into new lines. And so you can see we are rendering our data. So yeah, so we are going to go ahead and keep designing and styling our product details component here. And the first thing I'm going to do is, so instead of giving these divs, we will give them spans, and I will give them a class name So for the title, I will do just simply title. And for the price, I will do a class name equal to price. And so from here, we can do product details title and product details price. And we can start applying some styling rules. So the first thing we're going to want to do is make this font size larger. And I will just do 36 pixels. And I will give it a font weight of 500. And actually I'll do 700, make it a little bit thicker here. Perfect. And so now for the price, we will give it a font size of, let's do 24 pixels. And what we will want to do as well is give a $ before the actual price. And we will also set it to 2 decimal points so that it displays our cents as well for our product price. And so yeah, this is starting to shape up to be a little bit more what you might expect as you're shopping online, a product page to look like, at least from a layout perspective. But we're going to go ahead and keep adding on to this now with a description. And this will be a string. And what we will do is do a paragraph, and we will render out our description. We'll add it to our list of accepted properties, and we will say description equals, here is the best product that I have ever seen. You will love it. Alright, so now we've got our product description, we've got our product price, and we've got our product title. And we may come back later and fill it in with a little bit more detail, such as maybe a discount price and maybe a few star badges just to show a rating for this product. We'll come back to that. For now, let's just build out a little bit more detail here for our section. And the first thing I want to do is reduce this gap a little bit. So I'll give it a 24 pixel gap instead of a 32, and I think it looks a little nicer like that. And so the next thing is we want to do our buttons, right? So we're going to be building 2 buttons, and we're going to do it side by side here. So we are going to do a button for add to cart, and we will do another one for buy now. Alright, and so you see we have our 2 buttons, and we are going to give these buttons a class name equal to styles button, class name equal to styles button, or just BTN for a shorthand spelling. And so now inside of product details, we also want to add a class name to our button wrapper. So we are going to be applying some special styling rules for our wrapper now. And so we're going to give it a display of flex, a gap of 16 pixels. And so now inside of product details, button wrapper, we will do button. And now we can do padding 24 pixels, and let's do 8 pixel 24. We do 16 pixels 24. Okay, good. And we will do a border none, and we will do for now a background of, we'll just do FFF here, and I will select a color that we can use for our buttons. And I'll just do a cool green, blue, tealish color. And so we will also want to do a color FFF. And let's make this a little darker. Cool. Maybe that's a little too dark. A bit of a perfectionist, so yes. Okay, and we will give it a border radius of, we'll do 8 pixels, maybe 4. And yeah, so this is a good base styling now for our buttons. And what I'm going to do next is I'm going to give this second one, actually no, I'm going to leave this one alone. Oh, and we've got a couple other details we need to iron out. So we want to give it a pointer cursor, so when you hover over it, it has this pointer, this cursor design. Okay, and so the next thing we want to do is give it a transition 0.25 seconds, and we want to do the same thing here, but we will do a hover, and we will give it a background, and we will take our same RGB value for now, and we'll just make it a little bit brighter. And so as you can see, when we hover over, we have a nice little transition effect, and it changes the background color, just as a visual indication that you are currently looking at this button. So yeah, that is good for now for this base button. And we are going to give our Add to Cart button a new class. And so the way that we can do that with CSS modules is by, as you can see here, we've got our string wrapped inside of these backticks, and we are using this sort of syntax to create multiple classes inside of this string. And so we've got our button, which is going to be our base button styling class, and then we will do a outline class. And so what this is going to allow for us is, if we do .button.outline, then it will overwrite some of the base stylings that we had defined within our button class here. And so particularly what we want to override is going to be our background and our color. So I'm instead going to use a border of 1 pixel solid, and let's do 4 pixels solid. And so it's currently applying to both of these buttons. So let's take a look and see what is going on here to make that the case. Okay, so it looks like what's happening is we also want to specify a border or background of just FFF here. And so yeah, you see we have now our white button with a border that is our primary color. And instead of FFF, we'll actually just do a transparent background. And so for the color, we'll give it a 000 for now. And I think we can maybe even just use the same color as our border here. And yeah, so this is looking good. Let's make this a little bit thinner. Perfect. This is exactly how we want this to look. And so we will do another hover effect now. So I will give it a transition. Actually, we don't need to apply that because we've already defined the transition in our base class. So we can just give this a hover attribute here, and on hover we will switch the background. So we will give it the same background as our other hover effect, and we will give it a color of FFF, and we will also apply this same color to our border with a 1 pixel solid border color. And so yeah, as you can see, it is applying our styles. Now one thing we will want to do is supply a border on our Buy Now button. And the reason that we want to do that is because you can see when I am hovering over this Add to Cart, it's kind of scaling in and out. And the reason for that is because this Add to Cart is a little bit larger than the Buy Now, because the buy now does not have a border. So we are going to apply just a border here. We'll do 2 pixels solid, and we will use the same background color that we are using for the buy now button. And so as you can see, it is still doing a bit of a horizontal expansion, but that's fine for where we are with this project right now. And that is because we are doing this on a padding-based system. But we're just going to move on. So yeah, and let's see. So, okay, yeah, this is all looking good. Okay, so we have our product details component. We've got some base styling for it. We have utilized properties and passed properties from our app.tsx file into our product details.tsx file. We've created our interface for the product details props. So we are making some pretty good progress, but let's shift back now over to our gallery component. Let's fill it in with some legitimate images, and let's also make it so when we click on some of these boxes down below, that it would update the main image here. So that's what we're going to be working on right now. And so the first thing that we are going to do is, just like we passed in these props to our product details component, we are going to pass a list of images to our gallery component. And so we are going to go into our app.tsx file, and we are going to create an array of images, and we will call it images equals to an empty array, just like this. And so for now, let's go into our gallery component and start working on our interface. So we will create a gallery props interface, and we want to be sure to use that interface by this syntax here. And so let's start thinking about the properties that we want to define for this gallery component. So the first thing that we will want to define will be a main product image, right? And so the idea is we want a way to know which image we want to render here at any given time. And we actually don't need to make this a prop for gallery props. What we'll do is we'll handle it with the use state hook inside of this gallery component. But that's just one thing we will want to be mindful of. That said, we are going to want a images prop. And since we are going to be creating a relatively simple app, if you will, or product page, the images will just simply be an array of strings. And the way that we will render these is just by passing our images prop, or the images that we have defined here, to our gallery through this images property. And so we want to create some images now. I'm going to pull a list of image files for us to use, and I will be right back. Okay, so I have found a list of product images that we can use, and you can see them here on the right hand side of my screen. And what we're going to do is we are going to place these inside of our public folder, and I'm going to create an images folder here where we can actually use and place these images. So yeah, you can see we have our product images 1 through 5 here. It's just a bunch of cool sunglasses. I'm going to throw these away since we have moved them into our project. And so yeah, what we can do here is just simply, we can just type out image 01, image 02, image 03, 02, 03, image 04, and image 05. And so yeah, what we're going to do here is we've got our images. Now inside of our gallery component, we're going to do 2 things. So number 1, we are going to select an image to display here. And in number 2, we are going to render all of the other images within these blocks down below. And so let's get started with picking our main image. The way that we will do that is by doing a main image, set main image equals use state. And so we're going to use a use state hook, and for the type of this we will use a string. And so by default, our default value for this will be images at index 0. And so this is going to basically give us our main image. And if we console.log main image and we look at our JavaScript console, you will see we have image 01 printing out as main image, and we are going to use that for this image right here. Now, what we'll do is we will go to our gallery.module.css, and we are going to remove that background color now, and we are going to give an image, and our source will be main image. And we need to do a little bit with this in order to get it to actually render. So all we've passed into our gallery is the file name itself. And so we need to include the path here, as well as the file type. So what I'm going to do is actually just condense this into a list, and I am going to go element by element and first provide the path, and then I am going to provide the extension, the file extension, like so. And you might be wondering, how am I selecting all of these elements at once? Well, I am on a Mac, and so if you press the Opt key, let's see, yes, the Opt key, the Shift key, and the I key on your keyboard, you can select multiple lines of code all at once. So it's a nice little tool. I'm not sure exactly what it would be on Windows, but I will post a reference in the description for you to check out. But so yeah, that said, we don't need to do anything fancy with our image here, just because we have ultimately figured out how to render through the extension and the images path. And so the first thing I see is we've got an error. Okay, and that is because we need to add a trailing slash for all of these. We're still getting an error. So let's go back to our gallery now. Let's do another console.log on main image to see what we are getting here. And so we're still getting an image 01. Okay, so yeah, if we refresh our page, it will trigger a re-render. And as you can see, this image is completely going past the dimensions of our main image wrapper. So what we'll do in order to combat that is we'll look at this image and let's give it a width of 100%. And so that should do the trick for us. So what I'll do here is main image, we will do width 100%. Okay, and we will do a height 100%. Alright, and that's going to stretch this out for us a bit, unfortunately. So the next thing that I will do is I will give the main image a display of flex, and I will give it a justify content of center and align items of center too. And so yeah, we've got our product image here, and it is now currently center aligned, and it is looking good. So yeah, let's keep moving on now. So we want to render now inside of image options all of our images. And so what we will do is, again, remove our background color, number one. Number two, instead of just rendering out these 5 image divs, we are going to iterate through our images that we are passing into our gallery component. And the way that we do that is by doing images.map, and we will do file, and all you have to do is do an arrow function, and inside of this we want to render a div with a class name equal to styles image, and we can close this. And now inside of this we want to render our image with a source equal to file. Alright, so let's take a look. And the first thing that we see is okay, so we've got some kind of interesting stuff going on here. We see a scroll bar, and we see the images kind of going item by item here. So let's look at what's going on. We've got an overflow X hidden, so we'll remove that for now. And now we have some images that are quite large. And so what we will do is, once again, we will give our image options image class, and then target the image attribute. We will give it a width of 100%. And yeah, so you can see we now have all of our product images here, and they fit within the size of our box. So everything is looking pretty good right now, and I'm just going to give this a background of red for now. Okay, maybe we'll do a border of 1px solid gray, just to make sure that everything is correctly in place. And I'm also going to give this class a display of flex and a justify content center, and I'm going to align item center as well, just to make it all centered perfectly. And so I will be giving the main image just a border as well for now, just to make sure that yes, in fact, this row of images are center aligned with our main image. So yes, everything is looking good right now. So what we're going to want to do now is, number one, we're going to want to make these clickable, so that when you click on these images, the main image updates. And number two, we are going to want to make these buttons interactive as well, so that when you click add to cart, you can see in your top right hand corner, this item will be added to your cart, and it will show one product here in your cart. So we will be doing both of those things in the next part of this series, so be sure to watch it. And if you want to make sure that you see that right when it gets put out, be sure to subscribe for this channel. And yeah, I'm going to be making a lot more videos like this, and a lot more React and TypeScript tutorial videos. That's what seems to be what people are interested in, and I like making them. So be sure to stick around for the next one, and I will see you soon. See ya.